Hello, hello. Give a couple seconds here for everybody to join in. Not expecting it to be really big just because kind of skipped I shouldn't say skip, but missed a couple weeks due to me just being too busy. But I am looking to get on a more consistent basis with these because one, I know they help a few of you here, and two, I don't know, they really help me get ready for Money Monday as well. And I will say it doesn't matter how good a trader you are. Reviewing how the previous week was is always going to help you out. So like I said, give it a couple minutes and we'll jump right in. But how's everybody weekend going?
So far, so good.
Awesome. Happy to hear that. Welcome
Yeah.
here.
Ready for Monday, though.
Yes.
Ready to get back to it.
That's the thing with trading. It makes you sometimes not like weekends.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. I
It's the
remember growing
reverse
up
of
as a
how it should
kid,
be.
you're like, oh, Sunday. Now it's like, oh, hurry up weekend. I don't want it to be Friday.
Like they say that you never work a day in your life when you love what you do.
That's
Right?
I feel that. I feel that. I'm blessed to feel it. So Mark's here. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll just dive in and kind of go in. Like I said, if you got any questions while I'm talking, feel free to interrupt at any time just because I can kind of go on rant here and breeze through some things. Obviously, we're only looking at stationary charts, so there's only so much we can see, but uh, we'll look at it all. Last week I was not here on Monday, so I took Monday off as a personal day, and that's a good thing about trading, right? You can do pretty much whatever you want. You're your own boss, right? But you can't. That doesn't mean you can take every day off. That's the other thing. Some people have poor discipline skills with self-managing them, right? They want to sleep in or they want to stay up and I don't know, watch YouTube all night. Who knows what it is? And then you know what times to get up and get to it at 7 o'clock, and you want to hit that snooze button. So there is that issue, um, but I know who the people are that are get up every day and putting in the work and grinding, regardless if you're consistently profitable yet, right? Because it is hard not even being consistently profitable and waking up and you're like, I just took a loss. I don't want to be here, but you gotta grind every day, or especially if it's slow, right? If we have a slow week and you're just like, I could be sleeping. I mean, I guess you could be like Rob and go take a nap on your couch, at 9 o'clock if you see it's pretty dead, and there's nothing wrong with that. I definitely, like I pretty much say it every day, especially if it's slow morning. Like, hey, if there's not much activity come, after 9 o'clock press release time, I doubt I'm going to be trading much after 9:30. There's just so much more to life than sticking around and staring at, you know, what ifs and maybes. The high probability has been and will be continue to be in the mornings. So, um, I'm not going to stick around for that one, you know, 2000% runner that happens randomly. You're probably not going to trade it perfectly anyways or get the meat of the move. So why even do it? So anyways, we're going to start the review session on Tuesday. I could ask, I don't even know what happened on Monday. Is there any specific tickers anybody wants me to look at on Monday and I can look at it?
The only one I had down in my trader log was LMDX, unless somebody had something else, and it wasn't that big of a mover. I mean,
LMDX,
yeah, LMDX I had running
like
from
LM, like,
LM.
okay.
It's Lumira DX, and the news was Lumira DX partners with AstraZeneca and Everton. The news was not even that great. It was very bizarre, but it was a nice little trade. I mean, I think it ran like 22 to 43,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Oh, this was a cheapie. You love these pennies, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're learning, you'll take what you can get, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that like I said, this is how I started the good old penny stocks. So it looks like, yeah, Mike posted out that it had some news. So, that's why it was moving up. Looked like it started here in pre-market. Let's see what time. That's pretty late. Let's go to the next day. Here we are, 4. So was this like the
This was a Friday news, kind of like, and what I was hoping you
okay.
would talk about today too was, and Ali and I were talking about this in the chat, is the, gosh, what's the ticker, man? Did you monitor the chat at all?
I seen you guys talking about something in there,
Yeah,
the
I can pull it up. Hang on just a sec. because I'm hoping you can at least talk about like what the opportunities look like on Monday,
CHRS.
tomorrow. Yeah, CHRS I think is one we want to look at because they got some really good news and ran.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to jump there right now. I don't want to get ahead of it.
No, I ain't got nothing to talk about on Friday, so that we'll talk about that on Friday.
Yeah,
so,
cool. Okay, cool.
Friday was dead, but yeah, I see this now. I'm like I said, this is the first time looking at it, so this is fresh information. That's why I was like, wait, it ran. So here I am looking at the date. So it was a Friday runner, and then it looked like it continued on Monday. So, and that's very well could be a thing because how many people are actually going to be sticking around their computer a Friday this late in the afternoon and evening? Not many people, right? So you could argue and say, hey, the news was good. There's probably a high probability that's going to carry over for what? Monday, probably the most exciting trading day of the week. Earlier in the week is better. That's why I always say Friday is, you never know what you're going to get. It's usually the toughest trading day of the week. So if you're trying to like transition away from a job and into trading or something, work Fridays. Don't take Friday off of your job to devote to trading. That's a horrible day to do it. Take Monday off, right? Take Monday or Tuesday off and work Friday. And you could be like, well, I want to do stuff on Friday. No, that's fine. You can do stuff once you start making money from trading. But anyways, it looks like it had the news Friday. More people realized it, so put in, this is at 4 a.m. So I don't know many of us that would be still trading here, at 4 in the morning. So let's see at 7 what it looked like. All right, so 7 a.m. So it looked like it had 4 a.m. pop. It kind of just consolidated, hung out here, and then we would have had a high. I probably would have put the high here at this 23 cents. And you can see at 7 a.m. we started running up. So I simply would have just probably been looking at the 23-cent break on this one. Mm-hmm. So you took the break. This 50 MA is there, so that's another thing you would have to look at. Be like, well, this is where you can kind of beat yourself up because you can be like, well, where are we going to go? We're probably going to go to this 25-cent area, which is the 50. So you have to ask yourself, like, where did the stock start from? And is it worth it to take this break way up here just to play it a couple pennies up into that? To me, this is probably would have told me, hey, it's not worth it. And I don't know what 100% was at this point. It probably would have been, I could calculate it, but it would have been where it started it. And obviously times do the math. But even if this was the 100% line at 26 cents, there's another big resistance level right there. And you're like, I just don't see myself being able to trade something like that because you don't know. Sure, we can look at it right now and be like, well, it kept running and had this big breakout, went on another, like, I don't know, 100% run. But you don't know that it's going to hit this target and drop, especially it being Monday and you don't know like what the new current market conditions are. And that's another thing on Monday that I like to do is I like to kind of play a little bit more conservative than Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, because this is usually Monday is going to set the tone for the rest of the week. So this was good to see, right? Monday comes out, it holds, and then it pops up, breaks through these heavy resistance areas, and then goes up to like this 43 cents. I haven't charted this thing out on the daily, so I don't know if there's some chart resistance or what was here, but it looked like it hit some type of area and then it kind of fell back down. Once again, if we look at it, this is all pre-market, and look at what happens kind of after market open. The thing has a little fake out breakout, which is, here's 9:30. So you're 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 minutes in. So if you have my rule of not trading that first 3 to 5 minutes, you would have not gotten into this and not been faked out when the stock dropped, right? And then I don't think it really did anything the rest of the day. So once again, best trading opportunity was here in pre-market on it. And this is where you're going to kind of make the most of your money. The next upper resistance was.
What's that solid yellow line on your chart?
This one or this one?
No, I know that one. Yeah.
This is the 50 MA. Why
don't I have that on mine? That's weird. Okay. Well, we may have to talk about that.
Yeah. You have to go put. Well, you can't see it on yours. You should be able to see it on your daily, right? Right here.
Let me see. Oh, hang on.
You just have to.
I've got a yellow line, but it's not a solid straight line across the whole.
You can go add it in on your daily. So
okay. Well,
something that I haven't put on your charts yet is I haven't put on the script that auto plots it. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't want to waste anybody's time on that. So just curious.
So yeah, that was kind of what I see. Did you have any specific questions to any? Did you trade it or have anything happen?
I did not trade it. I was just doing markups this week, and I saw it on pop up on the scanner. I mean, I
Okay.
guess if anything, some of my like general questions today have more to do with like, and to me that just looks like that's a breakout trade. It's a textbook breakout
Mm-hmm.
trade.
Yep.
So I guess in this particular scenario, and we can talk about a couple other tickers too, because my question is going to be the same really as it relates to stop loss placement on something like this. And then, if you want to look at some of the other winning trades or some of the other runners this week, we can talk about stop loss placement. But on specifically on a trade like this right here, like the one we're looking at,
Mm-hmm.
if you do take the breakout, where are we putting the stop loss at, or where would you put the SL at?
Well, so something that you may or may not know yet, because I know I'm working with you. Um, each specific type of style breakout or pattern is going to have its own set of rules. So, um, yes, it's good as a new trader to have like if you have no education at all, to have like that. Oh, I just use a blanket stop loss of a 2-to-1 ratio, right? So if you're trying to make, say, 10 cents, that means your stop loss would be 5 cents down, right? That's
Yeah,
good to have if you have no other rules in your trading at all. But the problem is that you will soon find is you put that 5 cent stop loss, and we'll just pretend you put it, say, um, we'll just pretend. Where's a good part to pretend at? Yeah, we'll pretend you put it like your 5 cent stop loss is down here, but support is actually way down here, which is
mm-hmm.
maybe we'll pretend like a penny or two lower. And
Yeah,
all of a sudden, what happens? You use that 5 cent stop loss because it matches your 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. You get stopped out. The stock comes down another penny or two. It holds and then it rips. And then you're like, oh, it always happens to me. It stops me out and then the stock rips. Like everybody says that because it happens. And then that's just dealing with your understanding the chart and understanding your risk parameters and understanding like, hey, there was actually support here. I should give myself 7 cent stop loss on this because this is the real area that needs a hold versus where I'm getting in. But your entries can also mess that up as well, right? You could
yeah,
have issues with your entries, and that's putting yourself at too much risk because maybe where your stop loss should be off from an area of support, you never want to have a stop loss just be some magic number. You really want it to be an area of support. And if you put your stop loss in some random area because your entry was maybe you chased or something like that, well, when you chase and you get a higher entry, now your stop loss is really going to be messed up. Or the area of support that you should be allowing it to try to hold if you're going to be working the position is so far down that you're going to be
take a bigger
so
loss.
emotional. Yeah, you're going to
Yeah,
be taking a big loss. And then what happens? It comes down to support. So you're already holding way past your stop loss that it should be. And you're like, well, I do see support, so I'm going to let it hold. And then what happens? The support doesn't hold and then it cracks. And then that's how you get what we call a bag, right? Because now you're down so much and you're just like, oh, I've just lost so much. I'm just going to let God, Jesus take the wheel, so to speak, right?
you
And
become an investor.
yeah, you don't want to do that with these stocks,
All right, right, right.
so maybe if you're playing Amazon or Apple or something, you could you know use that strategy. There's a higher probability that you're going to be bailed out eventually, but you can't on this stuff because
Okay.
LMDX. When's the next time we'll see this trade? Who knows? Maybe it might be 3 years. Maybe we'll never see it again. Um, so you got to be careful. So entries and can be really dire on that's why I say like don't chase like a breakout and stuff like that. Like play a very specific way at a breakout. And if it goes early or if it's pops before I'm ready, like you guys know I'm super conservative. So I would just say, well, it went without me. I'm not going to chase because my stop loss rules were already preset into this before I'm even getting in the trade. Because that's another thing. I'm planning out that trade before I'm getting in. I'm not reacting to the stock in what's happening, right? You want the stock to kind of react to what you're planning out.
Right.
So, and if you're reacting to it, you're too late. You're too late in it. So
Well,
that's not
typically
what I
when I
want.
get in on a stock like this, Alan, like if I start watching, like let's just say I get to my computer and I've got everything open up at 6:45, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this one pops on the scanner. I'm already like for me, if I'm just doing a traditional breakout play on this, I'm just, if I start watching it, if you go to where 645 is, then you can kind of follow it and then see when 7 hits, you get that breakout candle. I've got like a limit order in
Mm-hmm.
on a place that I want to get in, and this was kind of like prior to me and you setting up the stream deck.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a limit order in, and so the limit order gets triggered, and then obviously, if you're not placing a stop, you've got that kind of that imaginary stop, and that could be like where you said there's some support there, which makes a lot of sense to me. And then obviously you got your GTFO button
Mm-hmm.
if it comes past that. But so to me, I guess you're talking about planning it out. I'm saying I've already got something in. I'm not just coming in and hitting the buy button on that.
Mm-hmm.
I know if I've got this limit order, if it's triggered, then I'm in the trade. If it doesn't get triggered, then I'm not. If it does get triggered and it comes against me, then I can get out of it with the button we built.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I know and trust me, we're gonna expand a lot more into you're like right on the verge of all this stuff that you're about to learn. Like, so I'm excited. I can't wait to teach that all to you
Okay,
here
cool.
shortly. So, but yeah, let's move on to Tuesday, because we had some fun stuff on that. We had, I think, was it the first one? INM. Let me go find that one, which is going to be Tuesday, which was the 24th. So this was another. I think this one was a pretty big runner, right? Because I think it ran what, over 300 something percent. Because the night before we actually came out with some news. So this would have been Monday night. It had news in after hours. It kind of popped up, and then what happened? The next day we kind of had the bigger move, right? Something happened at about 8 o'clock. Oh no, that's not right. Sorry, about 5 o'clock on INM, and this was a cheapie as well, right? 50-cent ticker. The stock ran up, and then all of a sudden, what happens here? Let me zoom in on our 7 o'clock time. So 7 o'clock, it popped up. So this is why it's good to get to your computer and see anything new that's on the gainers list, and then two, see any previous day runners that are on the gainers list or moving up or held their gains. If we played a stock like LIAN was a good one, and we're going to go over that here. That was a stock that was kind of a multi-day mover. You need to be checking that each morning, right? Anything that you traded the night before that still held, you need to be checking it the next morning, just see if it's kind of somewhere. Obviously, if like the PCL is like way up here and the stock's like just gotten obliterated, you can probably say it's safe to say that the stock is not going to come back, right? But it's something that's holding its gains or kind of just hanging out overnight after the pop and consolidates, you definitely want to be checking out, because what usually happens is kind of like what you're seeing here, or what you've seen on the other thing, 7 o'clock on that IMDX or whatever, that stock had a nice move starting at about that, 650s into 7 o'clock. And that's as traders were getting in the computer and things were coming in, right? And then also what happens? This could be a thing where, 7 o'clock on Tuesday, we didn't see any news, right? Maybe we didn't see anything at 7. So what's going to happen? Everybody's just going to look over. Well, what was the day before? What was that prior evening? What was it? And sure enough, INM was that. And what happened? Once it started hitting the scanners, started climbing up people's gainers list. It started getting the attention, and now more and more volume came in. Right, as you can see, this we went from pretty much nothing to more volume, more volume, more volume, and the stock went on that nice run. So this stock did have some pretty good move. Right here is a 50 MA, popped up through that, then came up to $1 natural. As you know, if you're playing a penny ticker, you always have to put a $1 line there, no matter what. Regardless if the daily chart doesn't even have any resistance there, you have to put $1, just because that's a number that all these traders that are in down here are just this know that people are going to be selling into. And shorts also understand that as well. So this is where the stock is probably going to run into some resistance, because shorts are going to start loading up into this area, being like, this thing's way up. Let me get out of it, right? Or let me see if I can get into it. So it came up, hit $1, and then the stock just kind of rejected. We kind of hit it once, we kind of hit it twice over here, kind of hit it 3 times, and then we finally went on like this 4th time was this next push. And what I liked about this one was it's easy to see now, but what do we have? Can anybody kind of see what's going on like right here, and finally right here?
Higher
Anybody?
lows.
There you go. Higher lows, right? So we are pulling back, but we're pulling back and we're holding, and we're seeing that each time it pulls back, it's less and less, right? So that means usually higher lows can also form, a uptrend line, whatever you want to do. I don't usually put lines on my chart because I have a 10 EMA, but and I can kind of see this. Oh, this is higher than this. I don't need to put a line. But that's exactly what you get. And that's what I like to see. You know, the more times we test the area of resistance, eventually one side is going to win. And a lot of you know this. It's eventually either a bear is going to come in and smoke this thing, and they're going to get that win that they want, that pullback, or whoever's trying to hold this stock down or whoever's selling off into this is going to run out of shares, and the stock is going to what? That means the bullish pressure is going to stay up and we're going to push. So I personally like to see multiple tests, right? I like to see multiple tests and play the additional multiple tests versus trying to play the first test, right? And that's why I also teach and try to tell you a lot as well. Like getting into a stock and you're trying to take a $1 break after it has this like big first push up is a lot riskier than waiting for it to pull back and then go, right? A lot of people do a lot of damage because FOMO happens and you're like, I'm going to chase it. A $1 break. I see this. We'll pretend this is the 100% line, which it very well could be still 115. I know it's going to go there and let's go. Sure, it did eventually go there, but you're putting yourself at risk that if it does stop and it pulls back and it doesn't, and the stock just wants to just come all the way back down. Now you're back in that hold and hope. You're not down on your knees. You're praying to the stock gods and you're hoping this thing comes back up, right? But it might not happen. And then you might be now you got yourself a bag of INM on top of that other bag that you just got on Monday, right? So we don't want to do that. So each time it tests, I do like this. And there's nothing wrong with trying to play up here. And then obviously you get, if you know how to read these bearish signals, you might have been like, oh, well, we rejected, it's coming back down, I'm going to get out. And you're out for maybe a small paper cut. And then it comes up, you test, maybe you're aggressive here and you get in, which like I said, this is stationary chart, so I can only see so much. Maybe you bought in here, then all of a sudden you see the bearish signal and you're out for a paper cut, right? So you played it once, you got out for a paper cut. You play it twice, you got out for a paper cut. Then what happens? You play it again because you see the higher lows. You see volumes staying the same or coming in. You see that, hey, this is still the only play that's out in the morning. There's nothing else going on. So this is where the hurt is. It has the volume. You can, maybe it has 5 million shares traded on it already, and everything else on the gainer list only has 200,000 shares like that. Those are all indicators you have to see and realize, and you have to convince yourself, like, there's nothing else going on. So why wouldn't you? So then all of a sudden what happens? You play it the third time and now you're rewarded. You get your 115. And if you're tight on your stop losses here, you definitely made back all your profits and some. And then you're probably holding some shares out. Like a regular trader that's been trading for a while, they're not just selling all into there. They're me, sure, I would sell maybe 50% of my portion into 100% because I do really respect that line quite a bit. But I'm always going to let some ride. And what happened, this looking here, it looks all good. Maybe I even rotated through this because what happens, we get the doji, we get the nice reversal. And what I sell into this pop, now I can add back in. And now I'm just managing and rotating my position up. And now I'm up here, right? Hit some type of resistance. Looks like we had some chart resistance and kind of same thing, right? You form another nice bull flag. You sell some off. You get back in, you're rotating up, your average is moving up and now you're going back up, right? This thing is still the blue line on my chart is a 10 EMA. We're still riding, just riding and riding and riding and riding. Even though we have a couple like this was probably red at some point. We have, say, 2 red candles on the chart. The stock still looks very nice on this push. And like I said, if you tried this multiple times, now you're definitely rewarded on this. And then what comes up? You come up, you sell some more. Maybe you see some bearish candles here, you sell some more. So now you're out another 25% or so. And then you're just holding, waiting for your next rotate. But we'll pretend this was 200%. It might be actually on my chart. And then what happens? The stock finally drops back down and now we're below 10 EMA, right? So this is kind of my signal. Maybe we hit 200%. Now we're cracking. Now what's happening, right? The pattern has changed. The trend has changed. You have to see these EMAs and understand that this whole time we were above the 10 EMA. Now what has happened? Now we're below the 10 EMA starting here. So what does that tell you? That tells you that something is different. It doesn't mean the stock is dead and it's done. It just means like, hey, this trend is probably done. The stock needs a breather. Maybe, I don't know, we're 830 was right here, kind of where it stopped at. So maybe 830 brought a different stock with new news, right? And this stock maybe just ran on this 200%. So a new fresh play could take some eyeballs off this and people move over, which I think we had another play on LIAN. So it very well could have been the same. We'll have to see what time that LIAN came out and started running, but we'll make note of 830 on this. So the trend has changed, came down, and we're back below 10 EMA, right? Now I have a very designated resistance line, and now I want to do what? If I'm still interested in the stock and I've yet to play it, I'm just waiting. Me personally, I'm waiting for my confirmation. I'm waiting for my reversal. Maybe I missed all of this. That's fine. If the stock's worth a thing, it'll give me another chance. I'm not FOMO and going to chase and break rules and get all emotional, right? You might as well just shut your computer off if you're kind of pissed off that you missed the move. Like, because if you're pissed is what? That's a type of emotion. So you don't need to be pissed trading this. But anyways, it pulls back. And then what happens? We kind of come back above the 10 EMA. And now we're coming up to what I consider my resistance area. And if I wanted to trade this stock, I would have been probably playing up here, right? Because now I got confirmation. I'm playing up here. And we'll say that, okay, I know the wicks came up this 200%. So if I'm in at 163, I know I need to be selling some into the 175 natural and 200% area and just be happy with that, you know. But sure, you could argue, well, it's kind of difficult to do that because the stock's already up so much. And also what? You're looking for a 163 entry and like this 173, 175 sell, you know, basically 10 cents. Is it worth putting yourself at risk for 10 cents? You know, sure, maybe if you have some chart up and you have a huge area of resistance up here in target, then maybe your plan says yes. But if your plan is just to try to make 10 cents on something that's already ran 200%, to me, I say probability is probably against me. It's probably not worth it. Like, I just need to understand that I missed this and wait for the next one, right? Because there's always going to be a next one. But this is also going to do what? It's going to prove to me that things can run and I need to be ready. But the stock comes out, market open happens. This is my do not trade time. You know, I don't care that this thing goes to the moon, halt. The only thing exception, I don't want to, you know, lie about anything. The only time I usually tend to chase, and I call it a chase, is when a stock is doing its first up halt, right? And halts only happen, like a volatility halts only happen in after market opens. So if the stock were to pop up and go into an up halt and I've yet to be in it or something like that, or maybe I was holding some from way down here, I'd probably be buying some of that up halt, understanding that there's probably a high probability that's going to open higher, right? Because the first up halt is usually the strongest. It doesn't happen all the time, but majority of times, I will say 8 times out of 10, you're safe getting into the first up halt on a stock that has volume. So anyways, that's the only time I would have broken that rule. But what happens? You get 1 minute. Well, here's 1 minute. Well, wait, there's 9:30. So here's 1 minute. Oh, it did halt there. 9:30, 9:35. So here's a great example. I don't even know why I see this. So if you did play it, the halt, say you got in at this halt candle around 175, there you go, 9:35. So 5 minutes later, you're in from 175 and you got, you know, 25 plus cents out of this. Then what happens? It goes from 935, 936, 7, 8, 9. I'm just seeing if this halts. Yep. And then what happens, right? 40, 45. I'm looking at the bottom of my crosshairs here. We're at 40 and we actually go into the down halt and we resume lower. So that's why I don't really chase after the first up halt too much more, because this stuff happens. But that's the only time I would chase. And the stock ran up, and then I think that was kind of it mostly on it, right? The rest of the day, it just kind of hung out, did nothing. So once again, what does this tell us? Pre-market, early opportunities, get your butt to your computer is the best. Otherwise, you can come around and, you know what, I'll be doing something else. You can go play this chop, you know? So like I said, it did absolutely nothing. So if you like shorting, this is working. This is sticking around, which I do it all the time. I set my range. I just walk away. I don't need to manage my shorts. Like the end of the day fade shorts, like, or after market open shorts, those are the best ones. Let's check out LIAN. I just want to see what time this one started running, because like I said, we were looking at 8:30 on this. What time?
It was 7 o'clock news, Alan, on that one.
Was it?
Yeah, on LIAN. LIAN news was Lion Bio enters into agreement with Bristol Myers Squibb for,
Oh, okay.
you know,
Yep.
that
So,
came to.
so it wasn't 8:30. So this one was actually running up before, kind of had more of the tension before INM. I think INM was a little bit later. So, wait, no, INM was, what was that?
INM was
Because that was a
7:30.
previous day runner. So it started moving up. So, but LIAN had that news, came up, what we do, pop up. We had some, I have a lot of lines on this now because, like I said, this turned into a multi-day mover. But it never rebroke this main resistance. We had a good trend line on the daily. If I switch over to my 1 day, you can kind of see this very easy trend line just by taking these highs. You know, if you're not good at drawing them yet, sometimes they're really apparent. So you can kind of see like, oh, look at this high, connect a line, it goes across. And let's look at where the stocks stopped, right? Oops, I did that wrong. Where did the stock stop? Right here, right? You can't reckon the body or candle wicks are indecision. This is where the body stopped. This is where it hit resistance, which was that line I just showed you on the daily. So that hit that resistance perfectly. There was also, I think, like 100% was right there as well. So you had two big areas of resistance kind of there, and then the stock didn't do much. I don't think the rest of the morning. So this was a news pop. The flag didn't set up, it didn't hold, it kind of gave it all back, and I don't think there was a lot of volume on it. So it would have been pretty hard to play this reversal down here, in my opinion. If you're, because this has such that look right here, if you don't see any of this over here, it looks like it's just going to do what? Give it all back, which we see it all the time in them. So it's going to be hard to play reversal candle off that low. I'm not personally good at it, so I don't try to do it, and I don't need to be, but the stock didn't really do anything. So then what happens? Market open, the stock really didn't do anything, but it was still holding its gains, right? So it was on our gainers list. It was on our watch list. I wrote it out. That's how I got this stock today to review, was right off our watch list. And the stock does what? Comes up and does my favorite signal, cross a VWAP, right? So stocks that are kind of below VWAP and hanging out, they got my attention, but I'm not like super actively watching them. A good thing that I like about Thinkorswim, and most brokers offer it as well, is what? I can come right in here. I can right click on my chart and I can click create alert, and I can be like, oh, where's my VWAP? Okay, it's right here at 250. So I can come in here and be like, I'm going to set an alert or a chime to go on my computer at 250 at or above. And then I can just click create, right? And then boom, I got this little alert. And as soon as the stock comes up, my computer goes ding, ding, ding. And I go, oh, this is the one that I was waiting for a VWAP cross if it was to ever happen. I don't need to sit here and stare at this thing and, make my eyes bleed. Use your alert, use your tools. And then all of a sudden it comes up. And then what am I looking for, right? My favorite pattern, the pattern that I've been trading for probably the longest time. And that also I've taught so many people, and other groups use it now and everything like that, is the infamous VWAP roll, right? So it comes up, crosses, 10 EMA looks perfect. We kind of hold, which this is what we need to see. And this gives us our confirmation. Now we're holding. And what happens? We roll right on up and we actually make a new push through there. And then what happens again, right? We got a low here and we got like a lower low or a higher low here. So now we're trending up and the stock just kind of goes on this nice, easy little ride up. Doing what? Again, 10 EMA, just riding. And once it cracks, it's out. So, kind of go back to your question, Mike, another thing you can do, it's easier said than done, but if you're in, at a good position, if you're trying to like base your stop loss off from something, you could just simply be like, I'm going to stay in as long as the 10 EMA holds, right? But once again, that's going to matter with your entry, right? Because stocks do get extended off the 10 EMA. And when that happens, that means that the stock's going to be way up here. And if you're going to be using the 10 EMA as stop loss, and we'll just pretend you're up here at 360 and 10 EMA is still way down here, now you're putting yourself at a big risk. So you can't chase into that. But if you're in, like, say, close to 10 EMA, like you would have been on this VWAP roll, now what's your risk if the 10 EMA cracks? Like nothing, right? Like you get in right here at 290 or 253, it cracks. Maybe what you lost, 10 cents at most, and then it cracks VWAP at this point. So my stop loss all would have been right here, all from an entry at the end of this candle. Why would I hold this down to the VWAP, right? some people may be like, well, you got 50 MA support. And then what happens? It comes on 50 MA, it just blows through. And then you're like, oh, crap. Oh, well, it's got 50 on the weekly, which is this dash line. And you're like, oh, it cracks that. Then it comes on 200. You're like, oh, crap, it cracks that. Then it comes on here in the solid line, which is the 200 on the daily. Then it holds this. And what does that mean? Now, a stop loss up here that you should have respected, it's failed to hold all these key areas of support. It's down here. Now you're bag holding. And now you're like, oh, I'm down so much. I'm just going to hold and hope on LIAN, which, this turned into a multi-day runner, so it would have worked out eventually, but that's not what you want to learn. And that's not the trader you want to do, because if you get so many bags, then you don't have enough equity to trade with. And another emotional, like psychological thing is when you wake up every day and you just look at your P&L each morning and you see that big red number or whatever, just from that stupid trade you did, it reminds you and it just puts you in a crap mood. It really does. So, I'm not saying go sell your bags and take big losses right now, but like the people that are doing it, they trust me, they know what I'm talking about. And I've done it. I did it very early in my trading career. I had all the bags in the world. So
can you go back to the entry of this one? Like
off from pre-market or
pre-market.
well, honestly, I wouldn't have had a entry in pre-market on this.
Yeah. So we got the news at what time on this one? This is LIAN.
It looks like 7 a.m. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like a lot of these we watch, right? And like I think one in particular from this week might have been like, maybe was it ABVC on Thursday or something? And
yep.
Anyway, it looked very similar to this second candle. First candle really strong, second candle strong.
Mm-hmm.
What keeps us from pulling the trigger on this? Because this looks like any other runner. I mean, that I've just, again, being a new person here, this looks like any other runner buying the pullback. To me, it seems like it makes sense here. Maybe that on like the third candle, and then but
right.
Again,
I like to play the pullbacks better on these news pops than chasing the news pop. Like I said, I will only take the news pop if I'm first, right? If the stock came out with news and it's popped up like 10, 15 cents or something like that, and I know my risk is pretty low if, say, no other volume comes in or it just drops right back down to where it started from, for me, it's worth just hopping in right away. But if the news comes out, and we do see this a lot, I would say 9 times out of 10, you can't get in them. It just pops up so fast. Now you're doing what? You're either chasing or hoping that it's going to continue to go, because we don't know how high it's going to go. When it's popping off this much, I promise you have yet to chart it. You have yet to know where 200% is, where the 50 is, where all these other like normal areas that these stocks run to and stop, like where this trend line was on the daily where it stopped, that you're putting yourself at extreme risk playing that. So that's why I tend to wait for the pullback. And then I have very specific patterns out of the pullback that I play. And in this case, which you don't know my pattern, so I don't expect you to understand this style, like this look of pullback, has taught me that more times than not, this style pullback is just going to give it all back and it becomes a nothing. Versus if this pullback maybe formed right here, like up here, it has a higher probability that it's actually the pullback's going to work, and then I can take the break or whatever the type of indicator that I'm playing on that specific stock and go for more. So in this case, it doesn't look good, and that's just something you're going to have to learn. When we get to ABVC here on Thursday, that is something I'm going to bring up. It kind of looks hard because we're staring at a stationary chart, but when we were on the call, it was actually printing a red candle, so that's why I got in. I think at that 135. Right? Yeah, so we'll go over that one, but this one, I would not have been interested, just because I know I swear 100% was right there, and you have that daily trend line. I wouldn't have been touching this, especially after this goofy looking pullback, until we broke this. So, or some type of, VWAP looked a little bit different. So I don't know if I would have played a VWAP roll on that either. So on LIAN, anything above that would have been my go signal for a potential long. And then I would have had targets up here already, which, like I said, all these lines that you're seeing, they're from later in the, Thursday, Friday, and Wednesday. So you got to pretend these aren't in there right now. So I would have been seeing that it has more room to run, right? If you ignore my orange lines, which are intraday lines, and looking at these gray lines, which are chart history lines, I know if we break this, we now have this area of resistance here at 325. And if we break 325, my next resistance would be up here at $4. So this means I have this much gap that the stock can go to. If it breaks 325, there's a high probability that I'll go to 4. If it breaks $4, where's my next white line? Right up here at 470. So I like to see that. What I don't like to see is, oh, I have a resistance and look at, I only have this much room to go, right? This is too big. This is totally different than this, right? So that's how I kind of grade my trades. Like, is it worth me taking this to just get shoved like into here and for it to drop down? No. Is it worth me taking this because this is the next area of resistance? Look at how much area, how much room I have. Yes. Look at how much area I have. Yes. So,
when did this run last, Alan?
Got to see that. LIAN.
This was a multi-day, right?
Yeah. Yep. I think it ran some on Tuesday, and then
maybe that had more to do with
Thursday.
It was just out of gas.
But this was the first day I came to light, right? And then it ran. Looks like it held. Then the next day it ran up, and then the next day it ran up. And if you remember, I was trying to short this, right? Because it actually went red a couple of times on the day and was below VWAP, and I actually made some money short. But as soon as it reclaimed VWAP or broke that high, I was out and I was safe, and the stock still ran on a run. So I'm not going to get into shorting right now, but I have been trying to short LIAN, and I'll probably try to do it again on Monday. So let's move into Wednesday. I don't think there was much. And then I really want to touch base on Thursday. BTAI was the only thing I seen on the watch list that I put out. And it looks like it kind of had, what was this? The 25th, right? So we'll look at this area. So this started moving up about, well, what was this? This was 7 a.m. stock. Yep. So 7 a.m. the stock must have came out with some news. I could start pulling up on my review sessions here, the news streamer. We can do some news search as well, but maybe we'll do that next week. So stock popped up, looks like it opened around like 234. And then the stock did what? Just ran right up, hit some area resistance. This stuff, I have a line here because I think this kind of did that same play. That's why I took ABVC.
Yeah, maybe this is the one I was talking about. Like, because I think I bought this one at like $1.31 on the second candle when it pulled back and it was red.
No, that was Thursday. I know that's on ABVC. Yeah. Okay. Because I played the same thing. But so the reason I played more aggressive on ABVC was because of BTAI, right? And that's because I have this intraday line here at 262 because the stock popped up. It held here, and this candle was actually red a little bit. You can tell why it was red because it has this lower wick down here. So it actually dropped down a little bit, and I had the upper resistance based off from the second candle. You have to use that intraday resistance there because that's the only information you have, right? This is not chart history. This is nothing. These are chart history, these lines. So I'm just going off from the information I have. And right now, if I put my crosshairs right here, I have 2 or 3 minutes of information. So it's not very hard to see this, right? Pops up, actually goes red, pulls back. You now have your upper resistance, 262. That means if 262 breaks, I'm going to go after it, right? And if you look at it from where it opened, 230s or whatever, you're still only up like what, 27 cents or something, like less than 30. So maybe the risk was fine. Maybe the 100% target, or maybe I seen something up here. I can't tell you at the time, but it ran up. I got in at 262 break, and then the stock came up and it decided to stop up here. We hit $3, and then we stopped here, put a new line here at 290. So if you missed this faster trade off the news pop, then what? You could have waited for the pullback, had a really nice pullback, and you already have this resistance line here at 290, and now you're playing a 290 break. Definitely, if you missed all this and now you're looking to play the stock over here, this is how much time for you to be able to go in and chart your stock and see where it has room to go and understand, hey, maybe I'm looking for this as my upper target. Maybe I'm looking for this, 200% line. Maybe I'm looking for 300%. Maybe I'm looking way up here for the 200 EMA on the daily, whatever that area is. But now you have time to plan that trade out. So you plan it out. Now you got in, if you're taking a 290 break, that what you have natural at $3, but maybe I have some type of area of resistance at my neck. So whatever, it comes up, decides to stop here at 323, and then it has a pullback, and we're still doing what? Riding. Once again, it kind of seems a story this week, but this whole area riding the 10 EMA. So if you're in from down here, or if you're in from this pullback, or maybe even if you didn't get in till this pullback and this rebreak, like this mini bull flag, you're still riding 10 EMA. The trend is still intact. So you should still have some shares left riding until the trend changes. And if you played any of these down here, now your position is at a safe area instead of playing in an extension, right? What is extension? We're seeing what the bodies of these candles pull away from the 10 EMA, right? We are, this candle body is pulling away from my blue line. I'm not ever going to chase on these because, once again, kind of going to that quick, easy stop loss rule of just using the 10 EMA. My stop loss is here. My entry is here off extension. Now I'm putting myself at risk versus where I'm playing the pullback and the reversal here, and I'm right in off the 10 EMA. Now my stop loss is a lot tighter, and I'm at less risk. So anyways, the trend is 10 EMA. It comes up, hits some type of resistance, puts in, if you've been trading with me for a while, you see these dojis, you're looking for a bearish, you get a flat red, boom, this is not good. And then what happens? 10 EMA cracks, and you're like, okay, I have this support here from 322 from before. That definitely needs to be kind of my last area that has to hold regardless where I'm in at. And boom, what happens? It cracks that. So you should be out of all your shares, either at the end of this candle, into this candle, or this candle at very max if you're in anywhere or riding, is how I would have played it. And then I wouldn't have been back interested in it till what? We cracked VWAP. I'm looking for some type of VWAP roll, which was around this area, which doesn't look like it happened, or any break of these resistance. So we kind of come up, we hold VWAP. We get this consolidation. I don't like VWAP rolls when a stock is consolidating above VWAP, especially after it reverses from under. So this is kind of a no-go for me. But this is nice. Comes back down, holds some natural, or I shouldn't say natural, but chart history, 310 history, and we pop up, and then we do a VWAP roll. Nice doji, nice little reversal candle here, and we try to pop up, make a high, but we're trying to hold above this 323, which was previous resistance. We failed to do that, but we're still above VWAP. So if you got in here, I'm not panicking over here because we're still above what? One of my biggest indicators, which is VWAP. So I'm fine. And what? We're still riding what? This 10 EMA. So then we come back up. And if you missed the VWAP roll, it gave you another perfect opportunity to get in right here at this 319 level, about 826. And then the stock runs up. Now we're holding, and we're right back up to that same resistance line. It stopped here. So if you got in anywhere here, you better bet you should be selling some into this. Doesn't mean all of it, but you can take some partial profits. Fails to hold the 10 EMA, trend has changed. Now we're coming back down. You need to be out, right? And then stock kind of just does this madness. We're like, we're going to go up a quick little volume surge. And then we come back up, quick little volume surge. And the stock, does get a sort of a break here of this 337 here, but it's short-lived for what time was it? Like 9:12. So you might know this rule or not, but I don't like to open a new position on a stock much after the 9 a.m. press release time, because you will see majority of the time the trading is very inconsistent from 9 to 9:30. And why is that? That's because all the traders that are waking up and coming to their computer that don't trade the 7 a.m. through 9 a.m. time, they're now sitting at their computer and doing what we were doing at 6:30 or 6:45, whatever you do when you're looking at your gainers list and you're sorting through that. So they're doing the same thing. They're sitting down, okay, BTAI, yep, it's on my gainers list. Okay, this is probably a good candidate to trade into market open. They're building their watch list, and maybe they're trying to get some entries. Maybe they're like, oh, this thing's way up. We've already ran 200%. Let me short it. Like, there's all types of different strategies going on. But so that's why I usually don't take a new position much after 9 o'clock. If nothing comes out new on the news, then I'm not going to get into it. So, and then, market open comes, we try to pop up, we test VWAP, we try to hold above it, come back down, the roll fails, we fail again. And now we're what? We're building a series of, we're not going up, we're going down, lower highs. Not a good sign if you're a bull. on that stock at that time. Oops, I just deleted a line, but who cares? I'm not trading BTAI. So that's kind of how that one did. I don't think it did anything else the rest of the day. So short stayed in control. And what was that? Right when we were below VWAP, no surprise, the stock stayed in bearish territory and the shorts just ate. So another thing why I don't really care about stocks below VWAP unless I'm short. Let's move to what time is it? I don't even know what time it is. We're good on time still. We're gonna run over a little bit, but I really want to dive into ABVC and then kind of see what I expect for Monday. So ABVC, this was a 300 and 70% runner, almost 400%. I think it went. So pretty phenomenal stock. I traded this one and my last sell was into 200%, and then it still ran almost another 200%. So I left like 180% on, on the table, which is frustrating, right? But when are you ever going to get mad at yourself for at least getting, 200% is majority of the meat on the bone? But anyways, this did the same thing as BTAI. This is why I was more aggressive, because you have to understand what you have to be taking into account of what happened the day before. There's probably a high probability, especially if you had a runner, that it can happen again the next day, and it's probably going to happen sort of like how it happened before, because everybody that missed BTAI, now they're going to be more aggressive. That's why I always say I usually miss the first one, because the first one happens, I learn from it, I see how it's behaving, and then now I can be aggressive and I can apply it towards the next one. I don't get pissed off, right? I'm not getting mad. Sure, I'm going to be happy and giving high fives to whoever nailed it, but that just makes me excited for the next day, especially when you've seen that 3,000% runner. I didn't even get I think I traded 2 times or 3 times. I didn't get 3,000% out of that, but it made me happy for the next one and excited. But obviously we didn't see a 3,000% runner. Things just went crazy and we ran into multiple random pop and drops, right? Which was not what I wanted to see. But anyways, this stock came out with news, and you can see way down here, and this is the one that Mike got in at the 130 or something like that. I think I got 138 or something, but the stock did exactly that. It popped up, had the news pop, came out. I think the news read really good as well. And then this candle actually, it doesn't have wick down, but it was red, right? The stock was going down. That's why I say you can only see so much on stationary charts. But if you were actually, had a recording of this, you would probably see that it came down. And, I was 135, guys. I think I even typed in the chat. I know I said it on voice, and I said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. And boom, I got in. I think I got in at the start of this candle. It was somewhere around here, or the end of this candle. But Mike, you said you've seen it pull back quickly down to 130s, and you just hopped in, or?
Yeah, I saw. I think I got in on the second candle to pull back because it was red for, momentarily. But again, this is just based on if you can't get in, a lot of these don't pull back. You know what I mean? And so if you, for me, it was more instinctual, but drawing from instincts that are based on really not a lot of data, if that makes sense. So I would say that I just got lucky on this one. You know what I mean? Because I just happened to buy into the pullback on the second candle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it pays to be lucky every once in a while, but hey, you're learning from it too. So, and you understand that. That's the good thing to take away, is that you understood that, even though it was right, I need to understand why I was right. So it did have that pullback. I like that resistance area that I seen, and I hopped right in on this. And then I was looking for the 100% area, which I want to say it is this red line. And I had some, I think I typed them out in chat. I had some partial sells into there, and then the stock came up, and then this was kind of our next area of resistance. And I see what you posted there, Noah, but we have this next area of resistance, and we put these bodies here. I don't know if they were red at the time, can't remember. But then what happens? We get the break, and we're working on 200%, right? And then 200% happen, and this is where I was I put some limit sells. I think it was 230. I think I actually put it quite a ways down. no, maybe it's 247. Yeah, that sounds right. 247. So it was actually like 10 cents lower than this here, because I was already so happy, right, with everything. There's no reason to get greedy, because if you get greedy and you're like, yeah, this is going to go to 500% or something like that, then, you know, and you're not taking off any partial profits at all, like just do yourself a favor and lock in something. So I could have played it, sure, a little bit better. And I did not have this trend line here at the time. I think I didn't have that charted out on the daily, and I didn't see these additionals, and I did have 300% there, but sure, I think I was down to such a little bit that it didn't really matter. Like if I got another 100%, I think it would have made like what, maybe another couple $100. Like it wasn't crazy, but anyways, it did just keep going, right? And this is something where you now, you can't chase, even though you get 300%. I was thinking, yeah, this thing has a chance. Now we break through this trend line. We start breaking up through here, 400%. I seen this, 200 EMA on the daily. And above the 200 EMA on the daily, we have $5 natural, which is just like the $1. You have to put it on your chart. If you're trading stocks up here in this range, you have to put $5 on your chart. 510 was 500%, right? And 500% is just like as powerful as like 100%, especially when you're in the middle. Like people aren't really looking at like 300-400%. That's like a weird number, but 500%, that just sounds so clean, right? So people were going to go for that. So I was already like thinking like, hey, there's more. I think I don't remember if I put out a care package for it as well, but it didn't work and I deleted it, or I had one ready, but I was really interested in playing the breakup through this area, especially after this 375 broke. I think I did have one. Yeah. And we came up, we tested, we pulled back. I think I issued it when it started moving back up here, because I was like, yep, this next 375 break, we're just so darn close to this 400%. And then, like I said, this area and this area, that it's like a magnet. It's going to happen. But what happens? We failed to break and hold above this trend line, and the stock just kind of and the stock just never did anything else for us the whole rest of the day. We cracked VWAP. We didn't even like try to test like above. Like this has turned into actually a perfect short, like here crack, or the first rejection of VWAP. If you're shorter, these are really good areas. And a stock just sewered down, and this is one of those, like, you lock in the short, you just put some range orders and you let it work. So unfortunate that it didn't happen. And I think there's a lot in the chat room that were expecting it to try to reverse on up. I was like, well, since we're so far down, maybe this will have a big U-shaped breakout later in the day. I did watch it a little bit over here, because I was like, I know if this comes up, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock or something like that, and it crosses VWAP, it's probably just going to break through VWAP and go, or it'll have my very favorite VWAP roll and then go, and then have this big U-shape. And then what happens, right? We have this big U-shape. Now we're almost to end of day. Say the stock comes up, we have a little pullback here, like into the end of day, and then what happens? And then you have this huge after hours break, and there's no halts, and people are just, shorts are getting wrecked, and all kinds of stuff happens, right? Because that's how that 3,000% runner, kind of works. So, yeah.
Well, I think it was the right idea, Alan. It's just the wrong day. Because if you go to Friday, that's when it ran again.
Yeah, I think it had a little. Well, here's Friday. It had a little pop, but nowhere near its highs, right?
Yeah.
This was so far down, I think, on the day. Yeah, the PCL. Well, actually, it was above the PCL, but this was just kind of. I knew, since the stock was so far down here at that point, that any pops, especially on a Friday, were going to be getting hit short, and that's kind of what happened. Now, if the stock would have somehow kept volume and then kind of hung out and then kind of ran up and then, maybe start stair stepping up, right in this area would have been a huge area. Oh, let me make this look better. Yeah. Right in this area would have been a huge area to look out for, to switch back to the bullish side, because look at kind of where the stock hung out before, creating all this resistance and support. And shorts, I promise you, would have been like, yeah, if it breaks this, we can really be squeezing, this thing could go up. So I would have been very closely watching like this 225, 237 area to the bullish side, and expecting to squeeze back up towards this, this trend line on the daily. So could have, but just didn't have enough beans for it on Friday. And I don't think anything had anything on Friday. That's why I said, I don't even think I made a trade on Friday. It was just dead. So, and then I took off. So, um, so any questions on this one or Friday stuff? I know you asked Mike early in the session about the
Let me go to my email because I
the
did have a couple
CH
questions. I only posted they got FDA clearance on a drug on Friday late into the market, and then
CHRS.
yeah, see, and so I know that would be on the watch list but it's already run so much, and I just don't know. I don't have a lot of experience on these FDA approvals.
From 260. Oops. Just do this. We'll look at it. I mean, obviously you got your 50 there, your 200, your weekly, all stuff that's need to have on a chart. We could go through, put some chart history here. We can see, is there any trend lines that makes, not trend line. Yeah, trend lines that makes sense. Kind of draw, be like, oh, kind of here's a big one, right? Kind of connect these to there, to there. So that's kind of around this 50 MA area. I mean, these lines auto-populate on mine, but I'll just throw them on there real quick just so we can, the stock's not even up there yet. So let me go back. Yeah, so there is some room, right? There's still some room. I didn't do any chart history down here, but higher targets, there's still some room for the stock to run, up towards $4. And you have this really big trend line that's been, oops, let me go. Why am I playing? This is a 52-week trend line pretty much that has yet to break. And each time it came up, it tested it's down. So that's a very big selling area. And that's probably where shorts are going to be looking. So if the stock wanted to keep going, there is still some meat on the bone, this $4, $4.12 area. I would be concerned of maybe it makes that move at 4 a.m. I don't know if I personally am going to wake up at 4 a.m. to try to, get that. But, you could see that. I would probably put my break area right now to be like pretty much this 346, 350 area.
Yeah, that's what I had on my chart too.
And that would be my goal signal. If we break that and actually hold it, then these two areas are going to become a target. There is a trend line right there too, which is obviously going to be, way over here now. So you look at 4 a.m., where does this trend line kind of go to? Everything's going to be extended over. Now we're kind of getting closer to those targets, right? And especially now if we go to 7 a.m., look at where that trend line is. So there's definitely some room on it. So I would have it on the watch list. But like I said, if it hits this area at 4 a.m. and then pulls way back, I'm personally going to wait I'll probably look for fresh news on Wednesday. Now, how does it look as far as float and all that stuff? I think I read somewhere that it's a larger float, right? Somebody said something.
I think Ali did. I don't know what the float is on it. It might be in the Discord. Let me check, because he was commenting on that.
Well, we can just use our handy dandy FinViz, CHRS. Check it out. 105 mil float, so it is big, but look at this, 79 institutional and 4% insider. So it's about 83% locked up. So do the math. It's not 105 mil. So, so it can move, right? So that's good to see. So this is a good one. I mean, based on last week, how things were, like I said, a little bit shorter week, but we did see 1, 2, 3, 4 stocks well above 100% and 2 of them over 300%. That's pretty good, right? Why do I say that's pretty good? Even though we did have Friday, which was complete crap, and Wednesday, I think, was pretty light as well. It's because we're in earnings season. Usually you don't see this type of activity in earnings season, but we are in the better part of the year, right? Traditionally, the last quarter of the year is, a little bit more active. So that's why we're probably still seeing some of these stocks running the way they are. So I'm going to be a little bit more on the bullish side still, besides LIAN. I hope that doesn't go anymore. I can short it finally, but I definitely am going to be a bit more aggressive, right? I'm going to be paying attention to multi-day movers, right? Because LIAN confirmed that last week. And we also had that Friday thing happen with that to the Monday. And then we also had that, what was it? INM from Monday after hours into Tuesday morning. So I know things that popped in after hours. I'm definitely going to be putting them early on my list when I'm getting to my computer and ready to trade at 7 a.m. So I'm going to be aggressive on that. And I'm going to be watching out for just volume at 7 o'clock. If the stock had already popped up, like we'll pretend this one, and it kind of just consolidates here, and then all of a sudden 7 o'clock comes and we happen to be close to a resistance area, then I'm probably going to try it, right? Or the VWAP cross. Like we see a lot of them being below VWAP, and then all of a sudden, 7 a.m. comes and they just push up through VWAP, right, on a stock that's kind of already popped. Why am I going to be aggressive on that? Is because I already have a set risk, right? If it fails to hold above VWAP and I'm getting at VWAP, what's my risk? Comes back down, it cracks, or it only goes up 5 cents and it pulls back. Well, unless you're failing to pull the trigger and actually stopping yourself out, then you don't have any risk. But if you're failing to pull a trigger, then sure, maybe you're collecting a loss out of the gate, which, it's going to happen. So that's how I'm going to probably look into tomorrow. Obviously, I want a new set of fresh runners, but the CHRS is going to be a prime candidate probably for Monday, especially if it does not complete this trip by 7 a.m. So it'd be best to wait. So that's how I see it. Anybody got anything to add or any last minute questions?
I threw it in Discord. Alan?
You did? How about that ASPA? I saw some people stuck in there last week. Any tips on that? So, quickly. ASPA was it ASPA or APSA? APSA. Why is it not coming up? It's in my watch list. Let me see. Hold on. ASPA. Oh, that's right. Is it working for anybody else or is it just me?
I don't know. It's one with that T12 spec halt.
Oh yeah. That's the one that's stuck at like 27.05. It was up 100%.
Oh, there we go. I just had to pull up more. So it's still halted. Yeah. So this is. I was watching this 3317. I actually believe I played some of this one as well, but it was before the halt obviously happened. So the big thing is the SPAC stuff. Anytime you're looking at SPAC and no news SPAC play, I think somebody did post it in the trading chat. It was either Marley or Allie or one of the normal people about the, or maybe it was Teddy. Yeah, I think it was Teddy. That the SEC put out a thing if it's like less than like 250,000 something, and that they can halt it to look into more information. So you always got to know, and that's why I tend not to play I don't like to play no news junk, especially if it's something that's running and I don't understand it, especially something that's halting, right? Because the more halts it goes and gets attention, the riskier it gets. Just like chasing multiple halts up, there's a higher probability that's going to halt down, right? So if you're going to play this stuff, it's better to play early. I'm just going to say that the risk is less, right? It's no different than chasing something that's up 3,000% or something like that. You're putting yourself, the risk is astronomical compared to if you're in way lower. So if you're going to be messing around with a no news SPAC play, especially later in the afternoon or something like that, especially after this big part of the move happened, you could put yourself at risk. Now, I was surprised to see that it threw up that T12 halt where it did, because majority of the time, what are they going to do? And like people like Allie and them can contest this as well. They're going to do it after the stock's kind of or is currently ripping up, right? They're not going to do it kind of when it's just trading here, like kind of flat. That's why, I don't know. I've seen some people get in, so I don't know where they got in at. My area, that I was watching for was 3317, but I don't know if I would have been chasing this after the multiple halts it kind of had already. So word of advice is, if it doesn't have news and it's a SPAC and it's already up a bunch, it might just be better just to, if you have to trade it, trades like something small. Because a lot of this stuff you don't need to, you need to take a lot to make a lot, right? So maybe if you're used to trading 1,000 shares, right, and you're going to go play, at $33. What is that? That's $33,000. So, maybe it's not worth it to have $33,000 locked up, right? So maybe you'd be like, well, I'm just going to go play 100 shares or something like that. Maybe $3,300 isn't that much to you. You're still, majority of the time, if it does go, it's going to go up multiple dollars. So you're still going to make a decent chunk here, but you're putting yourself at less at risk. To me, it's usually just not worth the risk. So I'm not going to take it. But if I do, I understand this. And as a new trader, it might be harder to understand. But word of advice, if it had no news and you can't make sense of it, you probably shouldn't be trading anyways, because there's some other force or something else that's moving this. And this is not like retail. This is not, the day traders here doing this. This is the company. This is somebody in China. I don't know. Nobody knows. And that's what the SEC doesn't even know. That's why they halted it, right? So just don't put yourself at that risk. And if you do, I just size down. And it was on our watch list, but that was, is on our watch list from back here, so early in the day, the risk is lower. I can't tell you the last time I seen a T12, and maybe, one of you have, but I can't tell you the last time I seen a T12 SPAC, or not even SPAC halt, just T12 halt in general, that happened this early in the morning. Majority of the time, they're always going to be, market open and later. So maybe that's a rule that you set as well. So there you go. Ali just posted it. Yep. So that's a new rule that they set. And keep in mind, the SEC is here to protect the retail investors and make it so we're not damaging, or hurting ourselves, even know what they're doing, and preventing us with the PDT and all that other crap is more annoying than, I think, helping majority of us anyway. So anyways, great question. Anything else? No. Okay. Well, if anybody has something that I didn't cover or do have a question and they just don't want to speak up, feel free to ask me in DM. But other than that, I'm going to end this up here, and I look forward to seeing everybody back here bright and early tomorrow morning. And thank you for everybody that joined. It really does. I like it when people are here. So thank you.
Thanks, Alan, man. Appreciate everything you're doing.
All right. Thanks, guys and girls. See you tomorrow.